Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're piecing together the story of a ruler who stood between two of the most famous emperors in Indian history. He was the vital link, the man in the middle, yet his own story is often completely lost in their colossal shadows.
I mean, think about it. You've got Chandragupta Maurya, the guy who literally forged the empire, and on the other side, his grandson, Ashoka the Great, who took that empire to legendary heights. These are absolute titans of history.
So, who was this guy? This historical enigma whose life is this incredible tapestry of legends and whose reign was the crucial bridge connecting these two iconic eras. Let's dive in.
All right, so the most famous story about Bindusara isn't actually about something he did as a king. It's about how he survived to even be born. And it all starts with his father's brilliant, and you could say pretty ruthless advisor, Chanakya.
See? Chanakya was paranoid about assassination attempts, so to protect the emperor, he would feed Chandragupta tiny, non-lethal doses of poison every day to build up his immunity. A wild strategy, right? Well, one day, disaster strikes. The pregnant Empress Durdharara, who had no idea about any of this, shared the meal with her husband, and she collapsed, moments from death.
With the Empress dying, Chanakya had to make a split-second decision. In this absolutely desperate move to save the royal heir, he performed an emergency operation, cutting open her womb to deliver the baby. According to the legend, a single drop of that poison managed to touch the infant's forehead, and from this unbelievable origin story, the prince gets his name, Bindusara, which means the strength of the drop.
Okay, so from a name literally born of poison, we move to a title that sounds like it was earned in pure power. During his reign, Bindusara was known to the Greeks as Amitrochates, which is their version of his Sanskrit title, Amitragata.
Slayer of enemies. I mean, that sounds pretty impressive, doesn't it? So what does that formidable title actually tell us about his reign? Does it mean he was this great conqueror just like his father, pushing the empire's borders even further?
And this is where the historical picture gets, well, it gets a little fuzzy. On one hand, you have later accounts, like from the Tibetan historian Taranatha, that paint him as this mighty conqueror. But on the other hand, most modern historians just don't see the evidence for that. They argue his real achievement was consolidation, just holding his father's massive, complicated empire together, which honestly might have been an even bigger challenge.
So beyond the battlefield, Bindusara's reign was really defined by managing conflicts at home and building relationships abroad. He was a stabilizer, a governor on a truly grand scale. His skills as a ruler were seriously put to the test by rebellions in the super-wealthy city of Taxashila, and just look at how he handled them. For the first revolt, he sends his son Ashoka, who manages to calm things down with diplomacy. But when a second revolt flares up, he sends his eldest son and his chosen heir, Sushima, who totally fails. These missions became this crucial testing ground, and they really revealed the different capabilities of his sons, kind of foreshadowing the huge conflict that was coming.
And his diplomacy reached far beyond his own borders. He kept up friendly relationships with the Greek kings out to the west, and this famous exchange, it reveals a ruler with a really curious mind. He didn't just ask for sweet wine and figs, he asked for a sophist, a philosopher, to be sent to his court. He was hungry for knowledge, not just luxury goods.
But when all is said and done, for all his accomplishments, Bindusara's most enduring legacy is probably his connection to the son he famously didn't like, a prince who would go on to change the course of world history, Ashoka.
The legends around who would succeed him are just fascinating. They claim that while Bindusara totally favored his eldest son, Sushima, an astrologer from the Ajivika sect, which was a rival philosophy to Buddhism and Jainism, saw something completely different. He prophesied that Ashoka, the son whose rough skin the emperor apparently couldn't stand, was the one who was actually destined for greatness.
And then, after a reign of about 25 years, Bindusara's death throws the entire empire into chaos. The question of who would take over was not settled at all, and it led to this fierce, bloody struggle for the throne that would rage for several years.
So, how do we sum up this emperor in the shadows? Well, he was the son of a founder and the father of a legend. He had a name born from a wild poison story and a title that meant slayer of foes. He was more of a stabilizer than a conqueror and a skilled diplomat. And ultimately, his death set the stage for one of history's most dramatic power grabs, won by his son, Ashoka.
And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? While he might live in the shadows of his father and his son, maybe, just maybe,
It was his steady, consolidating reign that provided the stable foundation that Ashoka needed to build his own transformative empire.